Watch and burn.
Hey everybody. So tonight I am looking to discuss Brandon Cronenberg's, I believe, this is his debut feature film from 2012. And that, of course, is Antiviral, starring Caleb Landry Jones and Malcolm McDowell. The story here is simple enough. Caleb Landry Jones plays a guy by the name of Sid March. He works for the Lucas Clinic, who specialize in giving you and me, as in the average consumer, our favorite celebrities' germs of choice. If our celebrity that we're into has a flu and they're up for selling it to the Lucas Clinic, we can get their flu. If they have herpes, if they have gonorrhea, if they have syphilis, chlamydia, all that fun stuff. And you're like, God damn, I just got to get me some Aria Noble fucking syphilis over here. Assuming she sold it to the Lucas Clinic, which she probably did, you too can be all filled with, I can't remember now if I said syphilis or gonorrhea. But either way, you could have both. What do these celebrities do to deserve this level of fame and fortune and obsession? We don't know if they're authors, we don't know if they're poets, we don't know if they're musicians, actors, whatever. They're just famous and we want their syphilis. This movie is so completely fucked up. I think my favorite thing about this movie is the fact that this is Brandon Cronenberg, who is, of course, David Cronenberg's son, and this is 100% unique. This is all Brandon. This is no David. Brandon did not have to borrow from his father's genius in order to pull this movie off. And as a matter of fact, for the sake of argument, he hasn't had to borrow from his father's genius for this, or Possessor, or Infinity Pool. This movie is so deceptive. On one hand, it's really white and sterile and clean and ordered out of nowhere. I mean, Sid, of course, he decides to infect himself with his favorite celebrity, who is, of course, Hannah Geist. Jesus Christ, I forgot her name. And she's got some unknown disease. Nobody knows what it is. She's eager to sell, fires over to the hotel. He gets a needle of it from her, runs into the bathroom and injects himself. And of course, she's dying as a result of this because she may have been poisoned. So that means that Sid, he is sick and he is dying as well. So I think one of my favorite aspects of this movie is how the head of the Lucas Clinic has summed up the celebrity obsession that people have in the realm of the movie. But what he says completely lends itself to our reality here as well. He says that celebrities aren't people. They're group hallucinations. And truer words have never been spoken. Because when I inject myself into that situation, when I think about how I feel about Taylor Swift, I've caught myself sort of fantasizing about how my life and her life could be somehow comparable. And I've discussed it with other Swifties who feel the same way. And so in that sense, we kind of had our own little mini group hallucination about how we, in our pathetic little lives, we could somehow sort of insert ourselves into Taylor's and we would be a welcome part of her social circle. I'd be the next fucking Selena Gomez or some shit. So the line that celebrities aren't people, that they're group hallucinations, that is so on point. I love that. A little later on when Sid is at his butcher buddy's butcher shop and they're selling cell steaks made from muscle cells. And so they're selling these cell steaks that are made out of muscle cells. And Sid even questions it there. He says, how is this not considered cannibalism? And oh God, his buddy says, well, right now the government is landing on the side of something more religious because these cell steaks are made from muscle cells. Oh God, I shouldn't have put that in my mouth. That was fucking disgusting. And then his butcher buddy's got a fucking cell garden too going on there in his little butcher shop in the back. And the cell garden is just so Cronenbergian. It is unbelievable. I mean, David and Brandon are clearly father and son because the cell garden is just about the most Cronenberg thing about this movie. But again, it isn't Brandon stealing from his father's legacy. Okay. It gets to the point where Sid's illness is progressing so quickly because he has whatever Hannah Geist was poisoned with. He has it going on inside of him that he ends up at Hannah Geist's estate where he's going to be treated by Malcolm McDowell, who was her doctor. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe at this point, maybe he's going to figure it out, get some help, and Malcolm McDowell, being the doctor, he's going to be the voice of reason. But no, oh no, Malcolm McDowell is just as obsessed with all the celebrities in the movie, just like everybody else is. He, in fact, has a series of skin grafts, 4 of them, on his forearm. And he's like, oh, and this one's Hannah. Whenever I want to touch her, I can just do this. And he gets to touch a patch of her skin that's on his arm. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, fuck, man, Sid, you're in good company here, bud, because you're not going to get any help. He makes this deal with Vol and Tesser. They fix him up. They save Hannah? I think Hannah dies, because in the end, the most disgusting thing happens at the end when Vol and Tesser and their new associate, Sid March, are introducing, like, I think it's Hannah's death or something, so that you can experience what Hannah did as she died, which is not something I ever want to experience. So I find myself sort of like, I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, you don't want to give a junkie like Sid Marsh access to something that is definitely going to kill him, because he's already proven that he can't handle the celebrity obsession, because he almost killed himself with the thing that almost killed Hannah Geist from before. And now that I think she is dead and they're growing her death in like this big ass cell garden thing in this incubator at the end, and you've got this tube of flesh that comes out the front of it that Sid sucks off. So the room clears out, and then Sid goes down, takes the thing off the front. It's got like the flesh tube of Hannah's like forearm or some shit, and he cuts it and sucks it off so that he can actually experience her death, because he didn't learn a thing from almost experiencing her death for like the last third of the movie, which almost killed him and he was in misery the whole time. But I guess these people just don't learn. Another thing I thought was completely disgusting was how at one point, I think it's Aria Noble, they're discussing her, like there's a shot of her in the news and they're looking at her colon. I'm glad, because I gotta say, I can't tell you how many times I've been concerned with my favorite celebrity's colon health. Said nobody fucking ever, okay? They're like, and then at one point too, early on, they're discussing if whether or not Hannah Geist has a vulva. I love how deceptively clean this movie looks. Like everything initially is very white, and then it gets bloody so fast. I think I'm going to leave it there. So thank you so much for hanging out with me while I discussed Brandon Cronenberg's 2012 debut feature film, and that is, of course, Antiviral. Like always, if you like this review or you like this movie, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But most importantly, please don't forget that the world is actually a better place because you're in it. Like always, I'm getting out of here because I swallowed some of this shit and I feel a little sick. Have a good night.